So, as you know, in this particular unit, we are going to see the introductory things regarding the big data analytics and uh, what all are the sources that we have already discussed, why the huge amount of data is getting generated, and why and how our traditional database management system is unable to process this kind of huge data that we have seen. So these are some of the sources from where the huge amount of data is getting generated, and basically that data is going to be heterogeneous kind of data, so it may be structured, unstructured, or semi-structured. In last lecture we have seen what is the meaning of structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data. Now, what are the benefits of using this new term or the new technology, that is your big data? Okay, so we have seen that the social media is generating huge amount of data, and you can use this social media to target a particular customer. For example, in last lecture we have discussed that if I want to target the customer base of say kids from Shankar Nagar, say from 11 to 20, I want to target the kids of this age group, that is 11 to 20, and residing in particular area, for example say Shankarnagar. So I can utilize the campaign of Facebook to target this type of customers, this type of target group, and achieve my goal. So by using this type of tools which are available, the analytics that is available with the help of the social media like Facebook, Instagram, and other social media, we can utilize all these things. Okay. So then next is you are using the information in social media for the preferences and uh, that is product perception for the customer, then their planning regarding the production, what kind of uh, date, what kind of products are really required in the market, and all these type of things can be easily find out with the help of this big data analytics. And using the data regarding the previous medical history of patient, hospitals are providing better and quick response service. So there are a number of tools available like data mining and other tools which enables us to find out the insight of the huge amount of data, because basically um, the basic aim of all these analytics is that we should be able to uh, present our data in a fruitful manner, and the businesses should get some uh, insight into your data so that they can make the smart decisions. So that is the motto behind all these exercise. Okay. Now the characteristics of the big data. So as we have already discussed in one of the previous definition, that it has huge amount of volume, velocity, and variety, and variability and complexity. So these are the five main characteristics. So one by one we need to see this. Velocity means the speed of the data which is getting generated is really huge, as we have discussed in last lecture that uh, there is a there is a circumstances that huge amount of data is getting generated with the help of YouTube or the smart city projects, having mounted their cameras all over streets. So they are capturing the data, they are capturing the videos, and they are working like 24 by 7. So all these things are generating the data with high speed, that is velocity. That means the speed at which the data is getting generated. It is said that in this particular century, in 20 years, or 2001 to 2020, we have generated a huge amount of data that was not generated for last 20 or 19th centuries. So it is really huge. And at what speed we are generating the data globally, the social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, all these are getting utilized, and millions of people are using for their communication. Okay, so velocity is huge, and as the velocity is huge, the volume is also huge. Okay, so volume will be huge, of course, because the sources are many, as you can see in this particular diagram, that the data is not in GB, it is TB and PB, petabyte में पहुंच गया. पेटाबाइट के बाद भी zettabyte and all those counting parameters are available. And human is generating this data in a voluminous manner. That means it is not related, or it is not restricted to KB, MB and GB. It is in petabytes, it is in petabytes. So velocity is there, with high speed the data is getting generated, volume is there. That means high volume data is getting generated. Every activity, every human activity is generating the data, because you see, you have your own smartphone, and that smartphone is tracking each and every activity. We have smart devices like the Fitbit band, the wristwatch band, that is monitoring your every biological activity. That means what is your heartbeat rate, what is your blood pressure, what is your glucose, what is your oxygen level. All these things are getting monitored with the help of these smart devices, and that is why huge volume of data is getting generated. Then, as you can see, that there is a data variety also. Variety means there are number of sources which are generating the data. As you can see, mobile, photo, web, video, audio, SMS, YouTube, all these are generating variety of data. That means basically we are saying that it is a heterogeneous type of data that is getting generated with the help of all these sources of the data. Okay, so these three things are clear: velocity, volume and variety. Anyone has any doubt in these three? Please raise your hand if anyone has any kind of doubt, because these are the very important properties that you must understand in a thorough manner. Okay, so velocity, that is the speed at which the data is getting generated. Volume, huge amount of data that is not countable in even GBs, it is coming in petabytes. Okay, then variety, you have n number of sources, and that is why some data that is getting generated may be structured, unstructured or semi structured. You don't have any control. Like if you are commenting on your Facebook account, then it cannot be stored in our relational database management system table. Why? Because it requires certain specific format, but the Facebook comment cannot be fit in this type of formats which are required by the relational database management system. Okay, so volume, velocity, volume and variety. So these are the three big characteristics of the big data. Then variability, that means now there is a variety and there is a tendency of veracity or variability of the data. That means you cannot say ki at one point of time YouTube is generating this kind of data, then next point of time the data format may change, the data content may change, the data volume may change, the data velocity may change. So there is a variability, and because there are all these things, variety, volume and velocity, the complexity of the data is very high. That means that is why we are saying that you require a separate set of tools. You cannot use your traditional database management system to use to process this complex data, which is heterogeneous kind of data, and that is why we need to learn the big data analytics. Okay, so here all these all these five things are explained. Okay, so volume, many factors contribute to increase the data volume. Then velocity, data is streaming at as unprecedented speed. Okay, variety, so data comes in all type of format. Then variability, in addition to increase the velocity, variety of data flows can be highly inconsistent with the periodic peaks. Okay, and complexity, so today's data comes from the multiple source, and that is why it has huge amount of complexity. There are multiple linkages, there are which we cannot control as such. Okay, now this one is your life cycle, that is data analytics life cycle, how you are going to process the data. So the figure I will try to enlarge for you, it may not be visible properly. So it is taken from one of the sources available. So I have given the source name also. So it is a copyright material. This whole diagram is a copyrighted diagram, and you can see over here the proper credit is given. This diagram does not belong to me. I hadn't drawn it. I have just copied it from this particular source. So what is now we'll try to understand what is your data analytics life cycle. Okay, so the six phases are given over here. That is the discovery. That means how, whether you have enough information or not to begin with the analytics plan. So that is discovery. Huge amount of data is getting collected, whether it is collected rightly, correctly, sufficiently or not. Then you have to prepare the data. Do I have enough good quality of the data? See, this is very important aspect, data quality. Quality of the data means now the data should be complete in itself. The data should not be ambiguous, because say for example, if at row number 1 I am saying that Ram is male, and at some point of time down the line I am saying that I don't know the gender of Ram. So that kind of thing, ambiguity should not be there. So that is why quality of data is very important, and that is why, as we know that you have collected the data from the heterogeneous sources, isn't it? So heterogeneous sources से data अगर मैंने collect किया है, तो I cannot say that the data will be of high quality, and that is why you need to first prepare that data. Because ultimately ये जो पूरा analytics है, data analytics, why we are performing this data analytics? Because we want to come up with certain piece of information, piece of knowledgeable piece of information, wherein the business can take the proper decision. Because ultimately the aim is that your business decisions should be taken by analyzing the data, by analyzing the huge amount of data. Just say for example, always I quote this example, that how a big bazaar came to know that in particular time frame this particular product, say for example Lux or Liril soap, is going to get sold at higher piece of pace of rate. ओके, सो ये कैसा एनालिटिक्स किया उन्होंने? सो दे हैव द ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ डेटा ऑफ द कस्टमर, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ प्रोडक्ट्स दे आर बाइंग, what point of time they are buying a particular product, and by analyzing this data they came to know that in the month of say Feb, March and April, you have this Liril soap that is getting sold at higher rate. Okay, so that is data preparation is required. Then model planning, model building, then communicate the result, and then operationalize the data. So today we will stop over here because there are certain issues. Okay, so